Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. The question now is, were the Philadelphia Eagles exposed by the way the Washington Commanders won? And for me to answer that question, I'm going with no. I don't have enough information. Yes, we are talking about the run game. Yes, we are talking about the fact that people do feel like they can get some success off of that department. Put the ball in the hands of your running back and try and gain some yards. Even though the Commanders only averaged 3.1 yards per carry, which isn't a crazy thing, but at the end of the day, there still is something to be said about that part of the Eagles' defense. It's not enough of a sample size. This also fell on the same exact day that A.J. Brown had one of his worst career nights. This also fell on a day where Darius Slay looked like the worst Darius Slay I've ever seen. I don't know how many times we're going to watch an opponent have the amount of plays that they had in the first half compared to the Eagles. It was such a large disparity. It's just difficult for me to think that other teams are going to have that level of success. It's pretty damn bizarre. And yes, while this seems to be a weaker link for the Eagles, let's look at that and then look at how many strengths there are. So many teams, 98% of these teams have more than just one weak link. I feel good about the Eagles, and I know the Dallas Goedert injury is going to suck. It is not a simple fix. He is your number 2 most important skill position player outside of A.J. Brown. I would list it A.J., then Dallas Goedert, then Devontae Smith, then Miles Sanders. That's probably how I would look at that category of players. So, I mean, this is crucial, but I do trust Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen and Jalen Hurts. We know what he sells to everybody. Next man up, rent is due. I think he's going to stay calm in this situation. It'll look different, but I don't anticipate this team's offense just becoming miserable. You still have a great run game, and Jalen Hurts' threat of a set of legs, and being a threat with his legs. And Miles Sanders. And I know it took them forever to get to that point, but they also didn't have the possessions. So we know Jonathan Taylor and all these other running backs coming up are very, very talented. Probably better than Brian Robinson is, probably better than some of the people we've seen to this point. Although what happened in Detroit, I liked their back. But anyway. So let's say they do better than 3.1 yards per carry. I actually think that might benefit the Eagles. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. What crushed the Eagles the most was how long those drives were. 7-minute drives. 7+ minute drives. 2 of them, and one that was over 6 minutes and 30 seconds in the first half alone. If their yards per carry goes up, not that I want it to, I'm just saying, let's say some of those 7-minute drives are now 4-minute drives, and you still stop them to field goals, because the Eagles at times against Washington still forced them to get 3. They weren't punching it in for 7 every trip down the field. They settled a lot for some field goals, 50-plus yarders, 55, 57, in that range. So if you're doing that, but it's 4-minute drives, that gives the Eagles more time to work with. Now, in 2-3 weeks, if this is constantly being effective where teams can run all over you to this level, then we'll change the conversation. But it's not as if teams haven't tried this. We say this all the time. In years past, when Aaron Rodgers was in his prime and the Green Bay Packers would win a ton. I know they just beat the Dallas Cowboys, but, I mean, come on. This Green Bay team is not the same. When you looked at other teams that had very powerful quarterbacks, what would you say heading into that week? Well, if you could keep that quarterback on the sidelines. Well, if you could keep them on the bench. with their helmets in their hands. Well, that's great in theory. Try and do it. The Texans tried to do it. The Eagles still won. The Steelers tried to. Teams try and do this all the time. You're going to see better talent, but you're also forgetting that the Eagles have so many strengths too. And just like the Eagles have a problem in an area or a weak spot, so does every other team. It's not just the Eagles dealing with this. Hell, you'd be lucky to be in this position. I bet you teams would beg to be in the spot the Eagles are in right now with just the run game being an issue. And by the way, in today's era of football, if I had to have it one of each way, whether it's your running, your defense being an issue stopping the run, or in the pass game, I'd rather have this. You don't get beat in the air that often. You don't get torched that much. I do need the defensive coordinator to be aggressive. The problem is with Jonathan Gannon is when he's forced to get out of his comfort zone, that's when his team actually succeeds. When he falls into his true colors, that's when guys seem to struggle. Or there's just so much space for these quarterbacks to make throws, they're going to find it over the middle. So that is what eats me alive. It's crazy. He needs to force himself to do something that he really doesn't believe in. But when he does it, there's so much going on when it comes to the Eagles actually making plays. We were joking around on the radio today about it, and it's almost as if Jonathan Gannon going skiing for the first time. He ends up going down the mountain, and he's doing 360 flips. He's landed them, and he could be an Olympian. That's how talented he is, but he's not normally a skier. He didn't want to go skiing with his wife. They got a weekend at the log cabin. He's like, damn it, I don't want to do this at all. But he's forced to go. That's not normally something he would do, but he was made to do it. So he did it, and he was unbelievable at it. That's what happens when Jonathan Gannon does things that he doesn't want to do. It's crazy to me. It absolutely is. I guess for me, though, I'm not insanely devastated with where they're at even after that loss. Well, I'm so scared because of the Titans and Derrick Henry, and I'm so scared because of Jonathan Taylor. The Colts have many losses. The Colts have more losses than they do wins. And don't sell me a man named Jeff Saturday, offensive line. So he's going to want to work with the trenches, and he's going to want to run the football because that's his way of thinking. Stop it. What if the Eagles get up double digits? You can't just milk the clock and run the football back into the game. I'm talking more than just 7-0 because the Eagles did have a 7-0 lead when they played Washington. But this Eagles offense, they punch you in the mouth, man. And if the defense gets an early turnover, let's say the Eagles get the ball first and they score. And A.J. Brown doesn't stink. Because A.J. Brown stunk. You're not going to see a scenario where Fletcher Cox plays 70 snaps. 70 snaps for Fletch? Look, I was very critical of him on the postgame show because I was stunned with how much he wasn't good. And he was barely relevant. And he didn't even realize he was playing. So for you to play 70 snaps and everybody wonders if he even heard his name ever, it's bizarre because he was getting pushed back. But at the same time, at his age, playing that many snaps, part of me wonders, what the hell are you doing, Gannon? I'm not saying that Milton Williams is some stud, but can you factor in a different dude? Because there's no way in hell this man should be logging that many minutes. But what team is going to have that many amount of plays in the first half? I don't think this is a blueprint for the Jonathan Taylor-led Colts to beat you. Because those length of drives, without any sort of penalties, they had the false start. No, it wasn't a false start. It was a delay of game on 4th down that caused them to look in a different direction. What if there's a holding that sets them back? Now it's a completely different drive. What happens if there's a penalty? What happens if that face mask is called? This isn't anything new that the opponent has tried to do. The Eagles just played better on that night. The Eagles just were prepared better. The way Washington reacted afterwards told me a lot. You can make fun of them that, oh, what did you think they won the Super Bowl? What, did they think that they won some massive playoff game on the road? Because they were dancing to dreams and nightmares, and Heineke was celebrating, just the way the team reacted. But I look at it this way. You saw the difference in how much this game meant to them compared to the Eagles. Now, they just fell in a normal human being trap. It's hard to keep that level of hype up and stay undefeated. I'm not giving them a free pass, but for one team to be on the road after dealing with all the drama that they deal with Dan Snyder, and they're playing a division opponent, and you're going to get their best shot, there's probably going to be a time where a team wants it a little bit more because of, one, where they are in the division, and two, because they want to prove to the world on national television that they got more in them than people give them credit for. But the way they celebrated told me a lot about how much it meant to them. They wanted it more than the Eagles did. I'm not ready to give up on what they've done to this point. I'm not saying many are, but I think there's more worry than there needs to be. If they lose 2 more games, they lose 2 in a row, they lose in Indianapolis, and you just see this ugly spot again up the middle, but they're signing guys. Joseph, I don't know how much is left in the tank, but it's a body who hopefully can eat some things up for however many snaps he actually gets. But Jordan Davis isn't gone forever either. Let's not forget that. So there's a lot here. And I'm just trying to be the messenger and the voice of reason to let's not say it's forever lost, because the other team you're playing, something's wrong with them, and probably more than one thing. And the Eagles are really strong offensively and defensively. They take the ball away a lot. The Eagles normally don't turn the ball over as much, and it was fluky. A face mask that's not caught on Goedert. Quez Watkins getting up and fumbling the ball that way. Like, these are strange ways to lose. There was too much weirdness. Doesn't mean they won't lose another game along the way. Because, yeah. And someone brought up when I would counter a very negative point with sort of what I was just relaying to you over the first 12 minutes of the show with, well, it's not going to be easy. None of this is easy. None of this is easy. Why would you think any of these games are going to be easy? Because the Eagles are good, right? Just to put it back in perspective. If now you're nervous that it won't be, it was never easy. Never. They made it look that way because they're extremely talented. I could buy the Dallas Goedert scare more than anything else because he does so much outside of being athletic as hell, making catches. But the way he blocks, we know we love everything up front with this team in the trenches. Dallas Goedert is a crucial part of that. But I know we have sharp minds, and I know we have a damn sharp quarterback. Now, I'm curious what this looks like quarter 1 and quarter 2 with Stoll or whoever gets their number called, and then with the emphasis of stopping the run. Would you be surprised if this team makes a damn statement and everyone collapses in so Jonathan Taylor won't beat us? Because guess what? If I dared Matt Ryan to beat me with his arm at this stage of his career, let's go. Sign me up. And because the narrative is what it is, and they know it's the heavy talking points where Jonathan Taylor gets nothing. How did Dalvin Cook look against the Minnesota Vikings? I think they have, while there's limitations in the personnel, because this is a flawed group of personnel to a degree, when teams try to run. There's still more than what we saw. But when they're out there for so damn long because they can't get off the field on third downs and first and second down, they're setting themselves up for third and short. I can't see another team completing as many times on third downs. See where I'm getting at here? Let's just pump the brakes on that. All right? Man, Slay and A.J. Brown. What if only one of them had bad days? I think that's a completely different ballgame because then Terry McLaurin doesn't beat you. They beat you both ways. If Jonathan Gannon stepped to the podium afterwards and looked at Terry McLaurin's night at 2 receptions for 17 yards, and maybe Brian Robinson scored a bunch, and you saw him have some great numbers, and just same with guys all around other than Terry McLaurin, putting the ball on the floor, that is, or not putting it on the carpet, but running, you go, hey, one of their best men didn't beat you. But that wasn't the case. Both guys shined, unfortunately, or both areas shined. With this team coming up in the Colts, really? I just wouldn't be surprised if they shut everybody up, because that's how much belief I have in that room. 8-1 after 9. Angry and aggravated at things, for sure. You could just go back to my thoughts as soon as the game was over the night of. But as the week started to continue to play out middle of the week, Sixers don't play until Friday, nobody's paying attention to the brutal Flyers. So it starts to shift in your mind, how big of a concern is that really? How monstrous is that gap? Are teams going to take control of that and dominate you? Can't see it. Can't see it. Those drives are going to be shorter for each opposing team. And you know what? Jalen Hurts just plays such a smart game. And when they get rolling, they get that run game going. You did see it in the second half. They used Miles Sanders more. Their drives were smooth. You're moving the chains. You're picking up constant first downs. And let's be honest. If you don't have your face mask getting pulled down to the ground and you don't fumble there, as bad as it was, I still thought they should have stuck away with it. And better teams are on the radar. At the same time, better games are going to be played from the Eagles. I just want everyone to recognize that they didn't show up. But these players were also the same players that were doing better jobs in all the other games to this point. So I'm excited for them. I think they have an opportunity. I'm not one of those fans that are happy that they lost because it's a teaching moment. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I want more wins. I want 0 losses on my resume. I want to see how long they can go. It's not a distraction. If it's a distraction, your team in the locker room isn't what you thought it was. It shouldn't be a distraction. Just handle your business. Just go play your game. But whatever, it happened. You can't change the past. This is just reality at this point. And the fact that you're down your best tight end and one of the best tight ends in all of football, there's more adversity on top of it. Now it's time for Jalen Hurts to say, follow me. It's going to be tough. This is the first time this has happened to us. But that's why I think they're going to just take the field on fire. Because trust me, their ears are wide open. They see the front page. Howie Roseman's always listening to what people are saying. And I'm starting to think something. All right? I can't be too specific. Howie does one hell of a job getting certain media outlets to make certain claims, to have certain tones, to target certain people. There's a couple individuals out there that I know Howie to a level. These people have certain takes that have shifted from the beginning of the year. And a target happens to be a certain coach. And I'm going, hey, a little something. You're telling me that these people, who I know knows Howie, are now starting to rip JG a little bit. I don't know. I'm just wondering, is the mood changing in the NovaCare complex. To me, that would be a bit strange, though, because as much as I don't believe in Jonathan Gannon, and I have some fears for him because I know what's in his DNA is soft coverage. His DNA is playing way back. His DNA is being afraid. This team turns the ball over, forces the offense to be in great positions. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's flying all over the field. Darius Slay is one of the best corners in the league. James Bradbury was one of the best pickups in the league this year, and as a duo, they're great. When Avonte Maddox is healthy, they're phenomenal. So I'm just saying, that's more of me from an outside view, going, all right, I'll put that in the notebook. Put that in the notebook. Because at times I do feel it's malpractice out of them. This team against Indianapolis can shut everybody the hell up by just winning in ways they've done this season. What if it's 21-3 going into half? At that point, what can the Colts do? Run. How's that going to work? How are you going to put up the points? See, there's actually time where if a team goes on a long, sustained drive, you're actually all right because it milks the clock out. And I actually want to look for the game specifically. I want to look for, let's see, which game was it where, I don't think it was the Steelers. Was it the Jags? Wait, it might even been the first game against the Commanders. Let me see. Let me see if this is it. Because the Eagles got up big. Yeah, here's a few of them. Because in the second half, the Eagles were up 24-0. But the Washington football team went on a 15-play, 93-yard drive that was 6 minutes and 27 seconds long. Then there was a 13-play drive that was over 5 minutes. There was a 12-play drive over 87 yards. They eventually punched that one in to make the score 24-8. But the long sustained drives from the opponents, if you're up 20 points, have at it. Because if you get held to a field goal, you can take 6 minutes off the clock for only 3 points. Where are you going to make up time for the other? So, there's times where I'm down for that. I don't despise it all the time. Hell, at times I think it's actually very warranted, and I think it's actually reasonable. Because, well, you're not playing scared to beat the clock. You're playing strategic and smart. Because you also know that what are the Eagles going to do? Hey, Sanders. Hey, Hurts. Some option stuff, stay in bounds. So if we return the favor with a 4.5-minute drive of our own, and let's say that results in 3, let's say it doesn't even result in any points. That could be 11 minutes milked off the clock. And you're still up 20. And I kind of expect that. I'm feeling pretty good about them. I feel better right now, today, on Wednesday, than I did Monday night. That's how much I've turned the page. And I'm not harping on it. We talked to Tim McManus, who joins us every Wednesday for a midweek report, and he seemed pretty, I'm not saying scared or fear of it or whatever. I mean, he does a great job reporting on the team, but I think he's definitely noting it intensely, saying it's no joke. It's not a joke. I don't want to lose sight of the 9 strengths because that goes a long way. And we'll wrap things up there. I want to thank everybody so much for hanging out with me tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I love you guys to death. You're the greatest. I'll catch you on the next show.